On tonight's debut of Sanity Cinema, we're going to need a bigger boat as we celebrate 4th of July weekend with 1975's Jaws. The boys talk at length about their earliest memories, favorite performances, and favorite scenes of this iconic Spielberg juggernaut, while veering off into a plethora of other films along the way. This will be the first of many more Sanity Cinema episodes to come. All right, we have a special episode of Sanity Cinema tonight.
Kind of a last minute one.
It's kind of a last minute. We had a schedule change, which worked out for the better because it's July 4th weekend.
1 week from today, actually, is July 4th.
And, but we're going to release this on July 4th weekend. This episode
will be released on July 4th, if that's any indication as to what we're going to talk about.
Oh, my gosh. And in my house, in my house, every 4th of July, I watch
Jaws, the Steven Spielberg classic. Now, at this point in history, it seems like everybody's on the Jaws train. Mm-hmm. But as you all know, we are older. Dude, that movie just turned 49 years old.
Oh, my God.
June 20th, last Thursday, June 20th, 1975 was the release date.
I mean, but we are so
49-year-old film.
Now, to be clear, go ahead. And it's Shark Week. I forgot. I mean, it's serendipity. We love that at Sanity Lounge.
I love sharks and I hate them at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. They're fascinating.
I love looking at sharks, but I would never want to be eaten by one. I don't know if I can. I guess there's
I'm not sure if anybody really wants to be eaten by a shark.
If you had a choice over death, I mean, where would that rank on your list? I don't know. We don't need to go into it because I hate those questions. I know. Because I don't want to die. Yeah,
it's terrifying. And I think every kid gets that fascination with sharks. To be clear...
I don't know. I think orcas are more dangerous, although Jaws kills an orca.
Yeah, fucking Jaws. I mean, we saw Jaws 2. The fucking orca was on the beach. It was over, you know. And keep in mind, the movie Orca the Killer Whale, we're going to get into that, actually.
Well, I like Free Willy.
Here's the deal.
He was a nicer orca.
Free Willy was a nice orca. But in general, I'm pretty positive that was an anomaly in nature.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's not like, I don't know. We'll get all this hate mail from all these aquatic people, which is fine.
Maybe.
We love everybody. Back to Jaws. Here's the deal. It's 4th of July weekend, and in my house, it's important to watch Jaws 1.
Yeah.
And I think culturally, it was a shift 49 years ago, and we're going to take advantage of this schedule shift. Yeah. And here's another thing of serendipity. You wore a Captain Quint t-shirt.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so the time is now...
It's not my favorite quote, though, but I like it.
We're going to get to favorite quotes.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know.
Yeah. The time is now. And so tonight, dear listeners, we're going to do a special episode that we're going to release rather quickly of Jaws.
100%. So
nice.
Stay tuned. Mark your calendars because July 4th, this episode will drop.
Nice.
What was that?
Because if we've already dropped...
This is going to be in the trailer, dummy.
All right. It just threw me off. I'm going, well, wait a second. Like, if they're already watching the goddamn thing. All right, this is a cut.
No, it's not.
All right, no problem. Because I'm going, it threw me off.
That was just you thinking. That was you using your brain. They're like, wait a minute.
I'm going,
How the fuck are they going to know that? Because people are going to be listening to this right now, listening to this conversation going... They must have been able to predict the future.
Wow. Incredible. This is definitely an edit. I can't
we're
wait.
Idiots.
All right.
We're idiots. So, you go ahead. Let's start.
Hold on. So is it?
I just have an abundance of fun facts. I have some quizzes that I'll give you too.
Okay, well, before we get to the fun facts and the quizzes,
Mm-hmm.
when was your first memory of Jaws? Do you
See? I don't know. I mean, renting the VHS. I didn't see Jaws in the theater. Obviously, it was 1975, the year I was born.
right?
Birthed. Like I said in episode 1, the first movie I remember seeing in the theater beyond Predator was Jaws 3 in 3D.
Right.
Which
Had you
had
seen?
Yeah, I had seen Jaws prior to that. Yeah, because with Chad and Ray.
So that was
we used to watch
83.
that shit. We were. I was talking about. I was thinking about that on the ride here. About like. This is a little off topic, but it's film related, so
Okay.
we can do it.
Do it.
Like when you worked at the movie theater, that was like, or not the movie theater. When you worked at the movie store in Fingsbury Plaza in the '90s, yes. I used to rent movies from a video store not far from here because it was it was in the 80s though, and it was before 795 was there, and it was the closest movie video rental store. It was right beyond Soldier's Delight, right on the corner when you go out to Liberty Road.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember they had brown plastic cases that had to be. I remember we used to rent Conan all the time and Friday the 13th. My brother rented movies. That's because that's how I got into all the scary stuff. And Jaws was one of the movies we used to rent from there.
Wow.
But my point was, I was just thinking about on the ride over here is how many movies didn't exist in the 90s, 80s when you were getting into movies. Like there was no like Marvel shit.
No, yeah.
There was Star Wars, but basic like 3 Star Wars movies and a holiday special.
Yeah, we
That's
grew
it.
up with the original trilogy, and Superman,
Superman, DC.
won. Right?
But there wasn't really Marvel other than TV shows with the Hulk. There was a Spider-Man TV show,
Right.
but Hulk was the big one.
And DC cracked the code with Batman in '88
Yes.
with Tim Burton,
Yep.
but that was '88.
Was that 88 or 89?
89, I
89,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right. Yeah, they were in production in '88, but it wasn't released till '89.
Yeah.
You're definitely
Just
right.
a segue. I was thinking about that, and it's serendipitous that we
Yeah,
could do
yeah.
a film episode while I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
on the
it's
way over
perfect.
here.
You were on the way over, and you didn't know we were gonna. It's perfect.
It's funny, but
Well-
I really. I mean, it was like the like labels in the sleeves
I-
of these were like it looked like somebody used a typewriter, to
typewriter.
type the names on them. It
Yeah,
was
the
hilarious.
titles were typewritered out.
Yeah.
Definitely,
I
I
don't even
remember
know if
Bumps
they
video
had, like,
had that.
had like
Pictures, no pictures.
boxes with pictures.
No.
Like you just looked at the name. You're like, oh, Conan.
When I first went to Bumps Video, now this is '82.
Fingsbury Plaza wasn't even there. That's why we went to that place.
Right. This is way before
Yeah.
Entertainment Video, but Bumps Video, you would walk in and there was a huge catalog. And they had a porn catalog, and they had a regular people catalog, and they had a family people, not regular people. You know, I love porn people. Don't go crazy. But back in the day, I was like 10,
Right.
you know, and so it was like, don't touch that,
Right.
you know. But that's all it was. It wasn't even the fucking boxes.
Yeah.
You'd look through this catalog
Right,
of the
right.
lists,
Yep.
and then you'd go to Mr. Bump,
Yep.
and he'd give you the movie. And then it
Mr.
shifted. It shifted to one box.
Yep.
You know, and one copy of that son of a
Yeah,
bitch
goddamn,
behind.
that
You
was
know.
before That was before Blockbuster, for
Yep.
Christ's sake.
Then there was Errol's video.
Errol's, I remember that.
Errol's went a little hard, like
There
before
was an
Blockbuster.
Errol's next to the Reisterstown movie cinema that we always used to go to. There was an Errol's next door.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Reisterstown Cinema turned into Hollywood Video
Yes.
in the late '90s.
That was a
or
cool
whatever.
store. They had cool merch and memorabilia. I still own stuff that I bought from there.
But keep in mind that was the beginning of the end when the corporate pigs,
Yeah.
you know, hoard everything.
Yep.
And the market shifted to, in their defense, it wasn't all them. But
Yep.
so
Then back to Jaws again.
right. So back
This
to
is how it's
Jaws.
gonna go. Trust us.
Right.
June 20th, 1975. Jaws.
So you're saying you
I remember renting Jaws from that video store.
okay.
And going home and watching it on VHS and fucking
So
being
let me tell you,
terrified, like scared out of my mind as a kid.
I remember I had never heard of it. And I went to Johnny Morningstar's house, and I'm talking like it was probably first grade. Like it was early, you
Yeah.
know. Like I was young. I mean, I was born in '76, so
Right.
you know, it was like '81.
That movie was out, and you weren't even on this.
I know. I know. And listen, I just remember him being excited and being like, hey, I got Jaws. And he put it on and I'm going, what's Jaws? And they're like, it's like a shark eats somebody. And I'm like, what? And I remember being like, holy shit.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the rest of the guys like Johnny and Charles Van Horn and all these guys started like playing and shit. And I sat there watching this movie that I hadn't heard of, transfixed. And it just, I mean, it blew my face off. And then once I realized at that moment that the sequel was already out,
right.
I was like, holy shit.
That's funny. Here, I'll read for anybody unfamiliar with Jaws, because I'm sure there's going to be fucking somebody out there. There has to be. There can't be.
It's
but
offensive,
there
but
has to
there
be.
has to be.
This is from the BBC. This is a quick summary. There's a man-eating shark. He's on the loose in the waters surrounding the beach town of Amity Island. Police Chief Martin Brody, played by the great Roy Scheider,
one of the greats,
tries to close the beach after the shark kills several people. But goddamn mayor, the economy's more important than this fucking people.
Is that what the BBC thing says?
No, I mean,
I was like, Jesus
I'm
Christ.
going off on a tangent here. But that goddamn Mayor Vaughn, he wouldn't close the beach because he's
right.
like, we need that cash.
Same old story.
Matt Hooper, he's brought in to help assess what kind of shark it is and how much danger it poses. Then, meanwhile, a slightly unhinged local fisherman named Quint offers to catch and kill it for $10,000. And then the movie begins.
Really takes
Yes.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I'll argue that the whole movie is phenomenal, but if you're a young person and you're looking for that kick, you're going to go 45 deep until you get that, what you're looking for, really.
1 hour and 21 minutes to be exact. Is that what are you talking about?
What is that, the
before
boat?
you first see the shark?
No, I'm talking about before they start to go out on the boat.
It's like the first half of the movie is on land, second half is, but you don't see the shark for the first hour and 21 minutes.
Right. So I just remember the first time I watched it, I was blown away by it. And I did not, this is pre like my knowledge of film or anything, it's like I was just a kid that was like, holy shit. And I remember like it was very close to a time where we went to Ocean City and it affected me. Like it really affected me.
Yeah, I don't know. My brother it probably affected me because of my brother fucking with me.
No,
like
Ralph,
he used to do it with Jason Voorhees a lot and Exorcist. But I don't remember him messing with me too much about Jaws.
Well, I think it was like inherent in the culture. I mean, keep in mind, kids, this is pre shock fest. This is pre you just pick up your phone and watch people be beheaded. This is pre a lot. This is, true innocence lost through horror of a real thing that could happen. And it was based on loosely based on a New Jersey shark attack that happened in the turn of the century. Like I want to say in like 1918, something like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And loosely based on New Jersey beach.
Eventually based the book on.
Yes. And so that upsets you, off the get-go. You're like, wait, what? You and they're like, yeah, well, and then the book comes out and it's a smash hit. And this is a weird piece of trivia. I'm kind of on a rant right now. This is another reason why we should be doing this is because today on my algorithm, it fed me this piece of trivia that I knew about this, but it was like a meme that said, Hooper's wife means something different in the book than in the movie. And
Hooper's wife?
I'm sorry.
Brody's wife.
Brody's wife, right. And I thought about it, and I'm like, what the hell are they talking about?
What do you mean means something different?
In the book, Matt Hooper is banging Ellen Brody.
Oh, they have an affair?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's like a whole side story. Yeah. In the novel Jaws.
You know what's funny about that is as violent as the movie is, as far as the shark scenery and the killing. Well, not all of the killings.
It's upsetting.
But that would have made it like over the top if they would have included that in the movie.
Spielberg opted to keep that angle of it out because
I think he should have probably.
Yeah, I mean it's a good call, but it would have been. I mean, like what? Like so when Matt Hooper came to the house to have dinner with Ellen and Martin at the end, I wonder if in the book they had already been banging.
I don't know, but I feel like the movie. I've never read the book.
Me neither.
So I don't know. Like I feel like it's just a pointless story,
right?
Unless in the book there's like tension between Brody and Hooper.
They made it out to be because
like, what's the point of the affair?
Over
like,
the
what's
years,
the point of the affair? He just shows up like, oh, there's shark attacks. Let me check it out and bang the chief's wife.
Well,
while
keep
I'm
in
at
mind, Brody's new sheriff in town. He's got a lot on his shoulder. He drinks a lot.
Yeah.
Ellen drinks a lot. She's home a lot. You know, he's got this shark thing going on.
So the timeline must be pretty long at that point.
I guess.
In the book.
I mean, they were making it out like it seemed like it was like it gets tense,
right.
like with Matt and Martin and like the whole run and stuff like that. It just would have been interesting.
Read the book, I guess. Maybe
it would have been an interesting.
The shark's demise is different in the book, also.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Harpoons. It
right.
dies from harpoon wounds.
Right. Well, anyway,
which Brody sticks it with, like when he's up on the crow's nest, he's fucking stabbing it. So that was like
that was supposed to be the end.
Yeah, but then they did the tank that Mythbusters kind of debunked, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I don't give a shit about.
Yeah,
in
no.
Yeah,
it's cinema. Yeah, it's history. It's a great end.
I watch movies to escape reality. I watch movies for story.
Oh yeah, I don't care, and I don't even though they proved it wrong, I don't think they cared.
Yeah, they're good guys. Yeah, I'm just saying, like that kind of stuff. I'm always like, yeah, who gives a shit, you know.
Yep.
But that being said, so after we watched Jaws 1, my head's blown off. I realized this is Jaws 2, and in my opinion, I love Jaws 2.
No, I love Jaws 1, and I love Jaws 2. I love the end of Jaws 2. I love that. I love that with the high voltage wire, like it's great when he's just in a little fucking rowboat.
Right.
I love the boat race.
Right.
Like it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's really good.
I've seen Jaws more recently than I've seen Jaws 2, and I've seen Jaws a lot more than I've seen Jaws 2 or 3 or 4.
I've probably seen 1 and 2 even. Because I went on a run of years where I mean,
I've seen Jaws 2 a lot, but I haven't seen it since the 90s probably.
And
maybe early 2000s.
We both saw Jaws 3D in the theater.
Yes.
You know,
which was terrible.
It's terrible.
And it was only terrible because the CGI was so terrible because they just went with a cheap company that was trying new cheap technology that just looked like shit.
Yeah, but it had problems, you know. But again, we're here to talk about the masterpiece that is Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
And notice how we didn't even mention Jaws 4.
Jaws: The Revenge, right? Which I might mention before it's all said and done because I love the Jaws universe, much like the Marvel universe.
And it had Brody's wife in it.
I know,
and Michael Caine.
Right,
and there was an interview with Michael Caine. They asked him about Jaws. He's like, they're like, do you regret making Jaws? And he's like, I don't regret the house it bought my mother.
Right. I saw that quote. I love that quote. What a great quote. So let's talk about what's your favorite scene in the movie. If you have to pick 2 scenes in Jaws, that is hands down your favorite. Now, take a second because I have mine. Yeah. And when I say mine, knowing you're going to go, oh, yeah, dude.
So
actually, dude.
My favorite scene, hands down, is the introduction of Quint in the town meeting.
Okay.
And then his speech and just fucking owning everyone. That's my favorite. That's my favorite scene in the movie is Quint's introduction.
In the town hall.
In the town hall when he's just standing in the back listening to everybody trying to figure out what the hell to do.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he interrupts the town hall with the chalkboard fingernail run, which is a great move, a power move in a situation like that.
Yep.
And then he gives that famous speech that Ben Davis did so well. Shout out Benny D. God love him. If he was here, he'd be like, right now I can hear he's probably bitching going, don't forget about this. Don't forget about this. But Ben Davis with that, you all know me, know how I end a living. I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't going to be easy. Anyway.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great impersonation.
Thank you.
I'm terrible at those.
Well, Ben Davis does it the best.
Well, we'll have to have him phone.
We'll have him phone in. But anyway, good scene, good pool.
Yeah.
Is there another one?
Yeah, the typical chum. Like, why don't you come down here and fucking chum some of this shit? And the fucking shark jumps up, and the look on his face. And that's another funny thing. I recently, like within the last couple of days, saw it was an interview with Roy Scheider, and I don't remember who he was talking to, but they were talking about like emotion, like wordless emotion, and he in particular was talking about that scene, about how, and he's like, pull your cheek muscles up, and then drop them. That's how you show like the shocked fear, absolute fear, without using words, and he does it in that scene.
It was a great scene, and he's walking backwards, and that leads into the famous line that everyone knows and loves, because it's like right when that shark comes up, he stands up straight, walks right back into where Quint is, and he says, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Mm-hmm. And Quint just like looks at him and then gets up and looks around.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, those are my two. I mean,
they're great
I'm
scenes.
sure that's cliche, that the shark intro, but
it's a master stroke, and all of this whole idea for this podcast is cliche because everybody knows Jaws, everybody loves Jaws, everything like that. But we're doing this as a labor of love,
we're just
because
talking about it.
We have a show, and I love Jaws, and I've
And
always wanted to be able to talk about
now.
it. That's right. I'm so
It's
happy
awesome.
to be able to talk about it. But it's a bold move for Spielberg, and that's the scene. Like when I was a kid, first of all, the Alex Kittner scene was upsetting.
Oh yeah.
You know, the original first taking of the child Alex Kittner, it's brilliantly shot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't show the shark really.
No.
They show a fin swim.
I don't think they show even that, because that would be considered the shark.
So here's the deal. Trust me.
I think they show I think that's more the raft, the yellow raft flapping around.
It's the raft
bloody.
and a dorsal, we'll say. Trust me. There is a dorsal fin in there.
Are you sure this isn't the Godfather epic scenario you're talking about over here?
You're right. See,
Like
I was right about that.
You were watching it on TV one day, and there was a fucking dorsal fin
Listen,
popping up.
listen.
But I'm going to go home and put it on, and there's going to be no dorsal fin.
Listen, I was right about the Godfather epic, and I'm right about this. It just shows they used one shot.
Mm-hmm.
They shot the shark coming up and killing Alex.
Right.
But they cut it because of the ratings board, or maybe Spielberg was like, he didn't want to have that go that hard.
I wonder if it had ever
quick.
had like an X rating.
Well,
back
if
then.
you,
I guess not.
You
back
can
then.
find the picture now of this shark coming up, and like it's a black and white shot of Bruce the shark coming up and eating, or like taking Alex, and then you couple that with the actual scene from the film, which is a shot of the raft and the dorsal fin turning and a lot of blood, and Alex going like just a little smidge of the dorsal fin and a lot of raft and a lot of blood. And so, but it's like, you know, it's
So what are your scenes?
so
We didn't go into it.
my scenes, again, cliche, but hands down number one, and ironically it has nothing to do with the shark, is Quint's USS Indianapolis speech. That scene
100%
is, I say, right.
I mean, no, that I know that I would.
It's
I
like,
guess I wouldn't have called that my favorite scene. Maybe my favorite quote in the movie, although it's a whole story.
it's a monologue,
Yeah,
it's a scene, it's a
you're right,
master
yeah.
stroke.
I mean, but it's still not. I still like the Quint intro, but I love that story, and I can listen to that story like right now in my head. Like,
Well,
if
that's
you just
what I mean.
played
It's
it, I
like-
would just sit here and listen to it and all.
When you said the intro, oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, that would be,
That would have been
horrifying.
absolutely terrifying if that happened.
That's what I mean. If I was a child and that was the first killing,
Right, because
in
he's just
Jaws,
chilling. Yeah, that's
like
that's
I would be
hard.
like,
That-
oh my god, like
I don't know if I'd probably wouldn't be over to this.
And
day.
so, to Spielberg's credit, they did not use those
Smart.
shots. Yeah,
Right.
and they waited to, and then I think he had technical issues with all the other shots he had up until the point where they but I love the Quint USS Indianapolis speech. First of all, we all know now the history of the USS Indianapolis, and, you know, at the time, there was no internet. You know, you knew a couple of World War II fanatics who could tell you about that, or you had a dad that had a book, you know, that could talk to you about it. But it's like, to find out what Quint's talking about in that scene is based on true history is haunting.
Yeah, and when he starts talking about the shark, like the sharks themselves, he's like, then the eyes glaze over white, and it's like just...
Right. His delivery of the visceral reaction to real people being eaten in a realistic situation. And Robert Shaw, God rest his soul, was drunk when he originally went to do that scene. He came in hitting the ass.
Yeah.
And he filmed it, and they didn't. They told him to go.
He couldn't use that tape.
Right. They told him to go sleep it off. Because right, and he came back, but then I think, you know, to his credit, he nailed it in one or two takes right after that, and it just messed me up as a kid because it just captivated me, you know. And then you start that takes you down the road as a kid to looking into history, because you're like, what is he talking about? Deliver the bomb? I don't understand. Right. You know, what does that mean? And you know, it was just fascinating. So that in my head, when I think of Jaws, even though I love the shark and I love Matt Hooper and I love everything about it, I always, that's the scene that, like, you know, I just can't get over. So after that, I think my favorite scene is when Quint's being eaten.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like man versus nature. It's so over the top. Like, every asshole on earth is like, well, that couldn't happen. And you're like, okay, well, whatever. Like, who gives a shit? Once again, we go to film to escape reality. Get the memo. Like, you know, I can't stand when I'm watching a movie called Aliens and someone gives it shit because someone holds a shotgun with one arm. I'm like, you know, it's like, come on, dude. Like, there's a fucking alien. Like, you've checked reality at the door. Just let it go.
That's a tough way to go in that scene. Like, and he fights his ass off. Like, that just
Quincy
solidifies him as a fucking badass.
Oh my gosh. And that's what I mean. It's like as a kid, you're going,
and then he just chomps down. And the best part of that scene is just the end of it, when he's just like lifeless, laying there. Half of his body's hanging out in the jaw, and the shark just kind of like shimmies off the boat with him in his jaws and just sinks under the water.
Listen, there is a noise, there's a sound effect that's at that part that if next time you watch it, listen hard, but it like goes like when the shark's going back into the water,
right?
Like, I don't know if it's like a sound effect
his
purposely,
like last breath or something. Or
it just sounds. It's either the shark growling or Quint breathing out, but it's like as the shark's backing up into the water. It's very strange.
Can you on the death note? Can you name all of the people who die in that movie and the order that they die?
Susie Watkins was the girl on the beach.
Right last name, wrong first name.
Cindy.
Close. Correct
Stacey.
First letter.
All right. Cindy.
Chrissy
Watkins.
Chrissy Watkins. You said it first.
Yeah.
Chrissy Watkins, number 1.
Chrissy Watkins. Alex Kittner. Number 2. Ben Gardner.
Number 3. And that was the epitome of a jump scare in that scene. Like, kind of I'm sure it's not the first time a jump scare has happened in film, but that was probably the most intense one.
Let's talk about that. Do you remember the first time you saw that scene? Like, do you remember how
I remember probably jumping through the wall almost.
Yeah. I remember like being truly shocked.
He's peering into the boat's hull, and the fucking head just pops right in front of him.
Right. So to be clear to those at home who aren't 100% familiar with what we're talking about.
Spoiler alert.
Right. Real quick spoiler. You know, fuck off. You know, we talking like we're in the 90s and the early 2000s here. But just so you know, there's a scene in the movie where Matt Hooper dives down. He sees there's a hull of a boat in the water.
Partially sunk.
Correct. And him and Chief Brody are out on the waters, and they're searching for any sign that there's truth to their claim that there's a giant shark.
This is after they cut open the tiger shark and find nothing.
Correct.
No remains.
And they're looking for Matt Hooper says, we got to go out on the water. And, so they go out on the water. They find this hull of this half sunken ship right there. Matt goes down there in a fucking...
Yeah, that's a intense scene too, because you already know something's out there, and now he's just in the water.
And
with
it's
And
nighttime.
he's looking around. Yes, it's nighttime. He's got a light scope. The water's murky.
And he's got a snorkel.
I mean, the first time you see that movie, you probably think, all right, Hooper's gone. He's done.
100%. Well, keep in mind, so he's got a snorkel.
Yeah.
And a flashlight and a blade.
Yeah.
And it's nighttime, and they're going to see if there's a 20-foot shark. And, the whole thing is...
To explore a half-sunken boat.
Right, that may have been sunk by the 20-foot shark.
Right.
It's mayhem.
Well, what else does he find?
So... Then
in the hull of the ship,
Matt Hooper approaches said hull under dark water with just shimmering light, and he finds the tooth. Mr. Vaughn, I found the tooth the size of a shot glass in the hull of a boat. So he finds this tooth right there, and he wedges it out, and it's the tooth. And we, as a young audience, are like, "Oh, look, big! That's a big tooth." And in the background, foreground's a tooth, in the background there's a hole. Mm-hmm. And this sumbitch's head comes popping, this dead guy's head comes popping out of the hole. And
missing an eye, one eye's hanging out.
It's an incredible jump scare. It's for the ages. And on the first screening of that film, they said that that was the one that it's solidified.
Yeah, they were locked in.
Right. Now, a couple little things of trivia on that shot in particular. They got that shot at the editor of Jaws. It was an older gal. I can't remember her name, but she edited all of Spielberg's films. Legend in Hollywood. It was at her house. She had a pool in her backyard. And
I've read that.
They were missing a shot. They didn't have a good shot. Mm-hmm. And so Spielberg and a couple people in her pool set up the hull of the boat, and I'm pretty sure that the hand you see is Spielberg's hand, and that there is no shot. It's just a shot of the head, so they didn't even know.
Right.
So they I
read that. Yeah,
they got the shot in the pool months after principal photography was done. So that's awesome.
So that's Ben Gardner.
Ben Gardner.
Who's next? So we got 1, 2, 3.
And what? So you have a list of the deaths in Jaws?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jeez. And we didn't plan this. This is intense.
So you got the first 3.
All right. So,
in order.
Well,
Quint is number 5.
Quint's number 5. All right. So we got.
There's one between Ben Gardner and Quint, and I'll give you a hint. It is an unnamed person.
I'm trying to think here. I'm drawing a blank.
I'll give you another hint. You see his leg floating to the bottom.
Oh, you boys okay over there?
The estuary boater. That's what he's credited as.
Dude, you know what? Sorry about the audio peak. That's my second favorite. That scene horrified me.
Yeah, because the way the dude's in the water and the shark turns to the side just so he can bite the fucker in half.
And that shrill that actor makes when it comes at him from the side.
And you can see it because it's a top-down view of it.
It's an incredible shot.
That's a big shark.
It's a haunting shot, and they're in the lake off to the side. So as a kid, every time you're, at least me, because my head's crazy, if I go to Cascade Lake, I'm like, oh God, there's a possibility. Right. It's got, or who the hell knows. But
Deep Creek, my brother used to always tell me there was a creature in there named Big Bay Tide.
Ralph, baby, we love Ralph at Sanity Lounge. God bless Ralph Davis. That's incredible.
All right, so you got estuary boater, then Quint. We already talked about. He was number 5, and then the final death is, of course.
Well, Quint's the final death.
Bruce is the final death.
Oh, right, the shark. Son of a bitch. Yeah.
And then here, so we'll just keep going. How many total deaths are there from shark attacks in all 4 movies?
Do you have this statistic?
Yeah.
What are you, the amazing Kreskin?
I did some research. Quick.
Okay, so I'm going to give it a ball. Wait. So the first one was what, 6?
5.
5?
The shark doesn't count.
All right, so this second
Human
one,
deaths.
you got Tina. No, Tina's boyfriend. You've got the boater.
What are we at? Wait.
You've got the boater.
You're in the second one, so we're at
Okay,
6.
so at the very beginning of the second one, bring the 2 guys who are looking for the orca get killed.
So that's 7.
Then so the 2 guys there. Then I'm gonna say Tina's boyfriend. I remember the water skier and the boater. So that's 2.
So we're at 9.
Right. Well, wait.
Oh, we at 10.
I think we're at 10 because I have 5 in my hand. I'm talking about Jaws too.
Yep.
So the water ski and the boater, and then let's see here. And then the helicopter pilot.
Okay, we're at 11.
The one lady who helped young Sean onto the boat who gets swallowed whole in Jaws 2. It's so upsetting.
12.
She was so nice to him. Sean in Jaws 2, just for those at home, little 8-year-old boy, horrified to death. He's been attacked by sharks his whole fucking life. It's devastating. And there's this one teenage girl. He falls into the water, into the ocean. She, in a sacrifice for the ages, goes off into the ocean with him, says, help, little Sean here, let's get you up here, gets him up. And as she helps him up and he's crawling up, he looks back. And this shark... It's like coming up so hard like a submarine where like the water draws back and it swallows her whole right in front of Sean. Yeah. Terrifying. So anyway, that girl...
That was 12.
And then, that might be it for Jaws 2.
Okay, so we're at 12.
And then I got Jaws 3. We go with the water... or the very beginning, the guy gets eaten.
Okay, 13.
And then you got you got hold on.
Get there. We're at 13.
I'm gonna name this guy's name.
I know the final tally.
Okay. This guy's name. You can edit this downtime if you want. This guy's name is Shelby. Bateman or something. Hold on. That's gonna kill me. I don't want to look it up, but I'm gonna have to. He goes Shelby Overman.
Shelby Overman.
Okay,
there you go. So
Shelby Overman, the diver.
14.
Yeah, the death of Shelby Overman.
That is. Do they find him at the gate, like the closed gate?
He's the guy that was supposed to close the gate.
He was under there and turns around.
Yep. And then you got. And keep in mind, for those at home, I don't have a computer in front of me.
No, he does not.
Like this is
from
good. Memory.
We're at 14.
Yeah. Shelby Overman, and then we've got. I'm trying to think there. I don't remember if there's a shitload of character death in 3. Like a couple like the water skier pyramid goes down, but I don't know if they ever actually show the shark eating the water skiers. Mm-hmm. And at the end, he eats Lou Gossett. He eats Lou Gossett's nephew, so that's 2.
So we're at 16.
2 more.
16.
Yeah. And then, am I close?
Oh, do you?
Is so that? Are we only? Am I supposed to do all 4 or just the 3?
All 4 movies total?
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. So at the beginning of part 4.
This has been insanely impressive, what you just did. There's only 2 more total. So they must have happened in 4.
Okay, so I know them. So at the very beginning of part 4, it's young Sean.
Yeah.
Listen, after this fucking kid sees this lady, let's take a second. Let's digest this, all right? Sean
trauma.
Brody.
Yeah.
First of all, the Brody family in general went through hell, but Sean Brody was the little kid at the beach on part 1 when the guy, you guys okay over there?
Right.
He was on the beach building the sandcastles and watched that guy get eaten.
Right.
So then he watches this girl in part 2 get eaten whole, and then he gets eaten in part 4.
Right.
So there's that.
And then the second death in part 4 is the banana boat driver.
Yeah.
She gets taken down.
So there's
No, dude, that's not accurate. I got to tell you, that's not accurate. The banana boat girl gets killed, and then Mario Van Peebles in the director's cut gets eaten,
but not in the theatrical cut. He doesn't die in the theatrical.
He
version,
doesn't.
So they don't count the theatrical cut because the research. My research says 18, which you nailed. I wish we had. I wish we had like bells and fucking whistles.
Right.
I wish confetti could fall. I can't believe you got that. That was impressive.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to do that through these movie episodes.
Yeah, because I know that.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
You named all 18 deaths.
I tell my nephews
with a bonus director's cut death. So 19 total.
I tell all my nephews I'm Google before
amazing.
Google with movies, and they're always like, oh,
dude, that was impressive.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Even though it's kind of loserville, it just means that I was a loser as a child.
No,
but
it's awesome. Jaws was also the first movie that was shot in the actual ocean too. Not all of it,
right,
but a lot of it,
well,
which caused massive issues.
I was going to say, let's talk about that too. As I'm sure many people know, we won't go into
over budget
all of the details, but it was the original nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And in film class, they teach you, A1, Jaws. Look at the making of Jaws as what not to do. James Cameron filmed The Abyss in a soundstage to make the ocean. You know what the other movie that filmed on the ocean, uncontrollable conditions, was? You know it.
Waterworld.
Waterworld.
Yeah, their whole sets were destroyed. Because everybody thinks that movie failed because it was like so over budget and like it was so expensive to make. It was only because everything kept getting destroyed.
Right.
And they had to keep rebuilding it. But I will go 100% on the record saying that Waterworld is one of my favorite movies ever. Dude, I love that movie. And I love the boat in that movie. I love the beginning of Waterworld most, like the Kevin Costner shit. Never mind. I love that movie. I love that whole fucking movie. I love Dennis Hopper's character. I love all of it.
It's Mad Max on the ocean.
And we got to see that boat at Universal Studios when it was just docked there, and I wish I could have got on and played around with it and sailed it.
Right. So, I do want to do the sidestep on Waterworld.
Right.
Briefly, because you got me thinking about it.
Do a whole episode on Waterworld, too.
Do you know? I mean, have you seen all the cuts?
No.
Like, whoa, Davis, I have a box set of Waterworld.
What, it's a director's cut or are they separate scenes?
So there is 5 versions of Waterworld. I have all 5 versions, and the European version of Waterworld is 6 hours long.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
Is
it awesome?
It's incredible. It's like everything.
There's a lot more underwater stuff, right?
Yeah, Here's what I'll say. When I say it's incredible because I love movies.
It's incredible to you. It will be incredible to me.
It'll be incredible to you. That's what I mean. Like, you'll fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like, it is everything you ever wanted. It goes deep into the young girls, like way deeper than the movie does. And so this box set has.
Hate that girl.
Well, then you might not love it. Right?
Well,
because it's a lot
I don't
more
mind her in the movie. I just hate her. I hate her face.
Interesting. A hot take by what?
The actress, the girl.
Okay.
Well, not hate. That's a strong word.
Hate's a strong word. We don't hate her.
I do not like her.
At the time, you had an issue with,
she was
something
weird.
about her.
She reminded me of a little cave girl.
All right. We'll edit that. But dig this. The box set itself has 5 different versions of film. A director's cut, a European cut,
How long is the director's cut?
3 hours or something.
Costner directed that too, or
No.
did he not?
No, he did not.
He just starred in it.
He just started it, and the guy who directed that is the guy who also directed Robin Hood with him, and his name is Russell.
I don't care that he doesn't speak with a British accent because we get Carrie Always to do that.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, but the Waterworld thing, I'm going to lend you the box set.
No, well, okay.
All this
How do
is
I
to
watch
say,
Is it DVD?
it's Blu-ray.
Okay. Oh, I got a PS5. I'll watch it upstairs. I'll watch it with Lincoln. Lincoln will like it too. Lincoln will like it. Lincoln has seen Jaws, by the way, when he was like 5, so he probably doesn't remember it.
Dude,
but he might.
You have to each year reintroduce it because you're going to hit that one year where it affects them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean.
No, we'll watch it.
Some people will go like, but I'm talking about it in a good way.
We'll watch it next week.
All right.
We'll watch it today.
It's so fucking.
Oh my God! I don't know why that cracked me up so much.
So, moving forward, we talked about our greatest scenes. Let me talk about one of my favorite little side characters. One little character actor, the Brody's deputy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Do you have his name in front of you?
I can pull it up.
It's talking. Hendricks, I think.
Keep talking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I think you're right.
It's Hendricks, but that guy is an actor named Jeffrey Kramer.
Yeah.
And he just, anything he's in, I love. I don't know why, but he was in Clue, and he was the driver who showed up in the house in Clue. He's just a great little bit actor.
Little just appearance actor.
Yeah. Am I right, Jeffrey Kramer?
It's loading.
His performance in Jaws 1, it's on and off, but
Hendricks. Jeffrey Kramer. Yeah. That's his name.
That's what I said, right?
You definitely said Hendricks. I wasn't paying attention to the actor's name, but I think you said it. Did you say it? We'll check the tape. You guys know.
Wheel, can we get a ruling on that? I'm pretty sure I said Kramer.
No, that's great. He is alive and well. The ripe old age of 78.
Nice.
He was on MASH.
Now let's move through the cast a little bit and talk about.
You know what else he was in?
Hendricks?
Yeah.
Clue, MASH.
The Hero and the Terror.
Wow, heavy pull. Chuck Norris.
He was in Halloween 2 also.
Yes, I remember him in that.
He's got a nice little resume.
Hero and the Terror.
Hero and the Terror.
Chuck Norris.
Yep.
Shout out Dougie Fresh. Chuck Norris. Yeah, but so going down the list of the actors, we got, we already talked about Martin Brody, Roy Scheider, God bless him.
Blue Thunder.
Those who are listening at home,
he was in Blue Thunder, yeah.
Yeah,
not
the movie.
Airwolf, yeah, that was Ian, Michael Vincent.
Jan Michael Vincent.
And Ernest Borgnine.
I know, can you believe that? Borgnine. Yeah. But yeah, Blue Thunder, I think Scheider was in the movie. Blue Thunder.
Not the TV show.
Right.
Yeah.
But Scheider was in a great movie. If you like Scheider's performance and you're watching or listening to this in Jaws, seek out a movie called 52 Pickup with him. It's a phenomenal movie. It was directed by John Frankenheimer. I'm pretty positive about that one. Let me just double check that just to make sure. But it's a phenomenal movie of his. It's an underrated classic. Very intense film, the 52 Pickup. Mm-hmm. And then the other one that is, a lot of film buffs will give me shit for recommending this, but John
Frankenheimer, that's correct.
John Frankenheimer?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Good. But the other movie of his that I love,
Ronan.
and it gets a lot of hate. Well, I'm not talking about Frank. I'm talking about Scheider. The other Scheider movie that I love is 2010, the year we made contact.
Oh God, I forgot about that movie.
Now, it ain't 2001. It's problematic.
I forgot about that.
It asks more questions than it answers. But I was in elementary school when it came out, and I saw that because I was a film buff. Like I just went to the movies all the time, so I saw that. I had not seen 2001. I saw that, and I just equated to just. I was young and I'm like looking at a movie. I didn't get it at all, but his performance in that is great. And so Roy Scheider, 2 good Scheider performances if you're looking for that. Do you got any Roy Scheiders? Like,
I'm trying to he was in what the hell was the Star Trek? Or he was in Star Trek He was in a Star Trek.
He was in
what was that? Space
Sequest.
Sequest.
It was a show.
It was like Star Trek underwater.
Yeah, yes. It was a show for a couple
That's what I've
seasons.
been trying to find. I couldn't remember. I watched that. I remember. I forgot what it was though. That was like the 90s.
I want to say, yeah, it was the either late 80s or early 90s. Sequest, and now I think that only ran one season. But I remember I loved that show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
God, I remember like the first picture that pops up is I remember he's just like, look.
Let me ask you this:
Three seasons.
Is that guy? Is the young kid Jonathan?
3 seasons. Final episode was 1996.
And is the kid Jonathan?
Who we look? Jonathan Brandis. Didn't he kill himself?
Yes,
he was the
that's
kid from
my point.
Sidekicks.
That was going
Norris.
to be my point. Is the kid in that show went on to kill himself? Unfortunately, as another tragic tale of wasted Hollywood youth.
Right.
Unfortunately, it happens, man. You know.
Yeah, unfortunate. So we got Roy Scheider. We've talked about.
And then
we got.
We're working our way. I'm going to get to Dreyfuss, but I'm going to go Robert Shaw first.
Okay. Sting. That's Amanda's favorite movie of all time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's the movie we should get her in here to do.
I love the Sting.
Yeah, she loves that movie.
Well, let me tell you, we ought to do the Sting and Diggstown, like a hybrid, because they're both hustle movies or something like that, you know. Or we could just do the Sting or do them both separate. But I was thinking of Diggstown the other day. The reason why I said a hybrid is because I don't know if Diggstown is strong enough to do on its own. I don't know if everybody's seen it as much. But
that makes it even better.
Maybe.
Diggstown's great.
I love Diggstown. But Robert Shaw. So you're saying is probably the Sting.
Yeah,
You know,
Robert Shaw.
I would say my favorite Shaw is A Man for All Seasons.
Okay.
Or his turn as the he was a great bad guy in From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
He was the hitman.
Yep.
Like he wasn't the heavy,
yes,
but he was like the right hand man of the heavy, and he was great in that. Love Robert Shaw.
Who were we just talking? Oh, Glenn Workman. That's one of his favorite movies because it was like the James Bond movie where he's an actual like it's spy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a spy movie.
Right.
It's like the James Bond movie that's a spy movie.
It's a good
shout out Glenn Workman again.
Shout out Glenn Workman. And for those of you who are listening and watching
coming
this,
up.
We have a Glenn Workman episode.
Glenn Workman will be coming up at the end of July, beginning of August. Yep, that episode will air.
Very fascinating episode.
Very fascinating.
Very fascinating. So Shaw is one of the greats. Now, when we get to Matt Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss's character, in my opinion, when I saw that, I love Dreyfuss. I can't talk now. That's a different movie, but we'll do it. We're going to do a stakeout with Kenny.
Yes.
And Paul. Yeah. So.
And what about Bob?
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one too.
So Dreyfuss, that performance as Matt Hooper, in all honesty, was the first performance I ever was like, I think I wanted to be an actor after. I thought like that, he was incredible in that role. Yeah. It was so effortless. His lines were just great. And like, I mean, it's well written, but it's all about the delivery.
Yeah. And
he was so real.
Yeah. From what I've read a lot that Shaw and they didn't get along at all.
They did not get
on
along.
That set, and it was because of their acting styles. And the fact that the set fucking broke down so many times that they were sitting around with a lot of downtime and Shaw would just go at it. But I think that ultimately helped him deliver the performances that they did because their tension on screen was real.
It was real, right. I mean, Dreyfuss credits that. He says now, you know, that years later, like they reconciled and everything was fine, but it was very intense.
Yeah.
And Shaw...
He was a lot younger at the time, too. I mean...
Right. And Dreyfuss is a shorter guy. And it's like Shaw is a very tall dude. Right. And it had to be intimidating for him. But Dreyfuss is a formidable opponent.
Yeah.
Like, he's an educated man. He's got balls. And it was a very intense time on that set, as all reports
And Dreyfuss
went.
said he did not do Jaws 2 only because Spielberg didn't direct it.
Right.
That was the only reason.
And I got to tell you, Matt Hooper, I think, dies in the book. Is that...
No, I don't think he does.
No?
I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Matt Hooper dies in that shark cage. And he doesn't get out.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, now we are speaking a little out of turn because I'm not quite sure about that one, but I'm sure the internet world will tell me. But anyway, Dreyfuss's performance in that really got me into the thought of doing that for a living.
Holy shit.
To explain to those at home, in 1987, there was a movie that was released called Stakeout, and it was directed by John Bottom, who, we'll go into a different time. But it was Emilio Estevez and Richard Dreyfuss, and it's one of the great Richard Dreyfuss performances of all times. No one remembers it. It's like it doesn't get any love, and it's a dynamite movie. But Richard Dreyfuss has an incredible scene in that movie, and he says "holy shit," which is why Woe Davis
he realizes that he realizes that there's a stakeout going on that he's a part of, but not at this moment. And he's laying in bed and he answers the phone knowing it's tapped.
Correct. In the 80s.
And he's talking on the phone to the woman that they're staking out.
Madeline Stowe plays the woman.
I used to love her.
I love Madeline Stowe. And Dreyfuss, and so in the 80s, for those at home and those who remember, if you were a cop and you staked someone out, there was no regulatory board that made sure that you were, doing the job right. You were watching from across the street, tapping the phone lines, all this kind of stuff. And so the movie depicts that to the umpteenth degree, and Richard Dreyfuss ends up stupping the subject that they're staking out, and then realizes when she calls him at his house that he's being listened to by his boss and delivers the relevant holy shit.
Just about Red Grant. That was Shaw's name in From Russia with Love.
Is that right?
Red
Grant.
Oh, yeah,
no shit.
Wanted to go
Incredible
back to
Incredible role. But Dreyfuss, what's another Dreyfuss role that you can...
Close Encounters.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. I was going to say, well, because I always think of Matt Hooper.
Yeah.
When I think of Dreyfuss, I think of Matt Hooper. I think of the Goodbye Girl in a way, because
Mr. Holland's Opus.
I think of Mr. Holland's Opus.
What about Bob? I did mention that, but that's a fantastic movie. Him and Bill Murray are great.
Well, they did not like each other
at all. No,
Dreyfuss did not like Bill Murray,
right.
and Bill Murray did not like Dreyfuss.
Right.
And to this day, like, Dreyfuss is like, it was a very intense scene. Now, I think Murray did it on purpose because that was part of the character.
He was
Bob.
me to you.
He was the you, right? Exactly. It's incredible. Great performance. Okay, so moving right along. Right. So
Murray Hamilton.
So the only other one that I remember that made an impact on me was The Graduate.
So I was gonna say I have like some with Murray Hamilton. He was in 4 movies that were nominated for Best Picture. Can you name them?
The Graduate.
1.
I should be shot for this because there was a moment
Jaws,
in my life
I'll give
where
you
I
that
knew
one.
this.
I'll give you Jaws.
Yeah, but
there's
there's Pre-Graduate that he was known for. That's why Spielberg wanted him because of these performances, and I am blanking on them. So give me them.
The Hustler.
God damn it! I
Anatomy of a Murder.
I wouldn't have gotten the Anatomy of Murder.
So those
I own
4
the
movies
Hustler,
were nominated for Best Picture, and he was in all 4.
Yeah, incredible actor.
Yeah. He died in 1986.
Wow. Well,
it's been a while. Yeah.
How old was he? Because he seemed old in Jaws. I mean, or he seemed older. But he was probably only like 40 in Jaws. He just seemed ancient to us at the time.
Back again to Dreyfuss, Stand By Me, the narrator.
Oh man, the narrator.
That was a hard one to forget. Well, we didn't forget.
Well, right, yeah, I mean...
who am I looking? Murray Hamilton, what was I looking up?
Yeah.
How old he was?
Yep. when he died?
63. He was young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a damn shame. So real quick, I'm gonna stay on Hamilton as the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
As a child.
I mean, you'd say he was a piece of shit, but he wasn't.
Listen,
he was the mayor. He had to get business. It was 4th of July.
Are you telling me that you are team Mayor Vaughn?
Oh no, Mayor Vaughn was such an asshole.
What are you trying to say?
Such
Right.
an asshole.
So what I'm saying is as a child,
I understand his motive.
Yeah,
he couldn't cripple the town. They needed the money.
Look, politically, it would have been political suicide. There's no doubt about it. Okay.
And he was an asshole, so he wasn't going to commit political suicide.
Well, yeah, but he's committing political suicide by opening him up to a smorgasbord.
But he didn't believe there was a shark.
I mean, but can you, like, when I was a kid and I realized what was going on here, I remember being like, I wonder why, like, what's he talking? I don't understand. Like, you know, the concept, I couldn't quite get the mayor's story, the first run through, because I was young and I was just watching. But the second time I watched it, I'm going, well, what is it, money? Or, you know, it is. You realize it as a young kid nowadays, of course, but it's like he was the first, like, real evil, you know,
real politician too. Like that shit would happen now.
It does, sure.
Like they'd be like, we can't close the beach.
Sure.
Just tell people to not go out too far into the water.
Right. I mean, now look, until Covidicus,
or just tell them nothing and let's see what happens. Which is what Mayor Vaughn did.
Until COVID, everything would have gone that way. Now, we don't give a shit about COVID. We're not talking about COVID. But, you know, like everything went that way until that. And that was the only anomaly. That was the weird one. And they'll never do that again. So fuck them.
And in the grand scheme of things, Brody's also responsible because he could have just stuck to his guns and closed the beach. But he was like,
are you kidding me? They were all over him.
Yeah, but
you were at that town hall.
He could have stood his ground and closed the beach.
He had no political power. Chief Brody had no political power. You're going on record as Team Vaughn, and you think Brody was a son of a bitch.
I understand what they were thinking.
Man, it's amazing. I mean,
no, I'm definitely not Team Vaughn, but maybe.
I mean, this guy.
He was such a piece of shit.
Remember, he said, "Brody, my kids were on that beach too." You know, it's like this guy, his own kids, he's serving up. It's ridiculous.
Another thing I read about the Robert Shaw Dreyfuss thing, where Robert Shaw bet Richard Dreyfuss $100. He dared him and said he'd pay him $100 to climb to the top of the mast on the Orca and jump off.
Wow!
Don't think he did it though.
No, yeah. Well, so
because Shaw knew he would get hurt.
Right. Well, so it was a notoriously bad production. It took forever. The actors were in hell. The reason for the yellow barrels, as everybody now knows, I believe, but for those who don't know, is that the actual shark was breaking constantly. All the shots, the shark was was supposed to be in 70% of the film.
Right.
It ended up only being in a quarter or a third, something rather low. Probably a quarter of the film because that was all they could use. So they came up with the concept of the yellow barrel to insinuate when the shark would be around. And in retrospect, it's brilliant.
That's another good scene, which is nothing. There's nothing to it, but when I don't know what it's called on the boat, the front of the boat when Quint's just sitting there with the harpoon gun, or is it a rifle? It's a rifle. It's not a harpoon gun. Just sitting there across, and he's just sitting there with his legs crossed, staring at Hooper.
Right.
Because he's driving the boat, and he's just sitting there staring at him and then there's a good panoramic shot of that you can buy. Like
it's an incredible shot.
I love that shot.
And that shot has a shooting star in it.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Like real life shoot.
Well, here's the thing. It's been there my whole life. I assume it was a real
the hanging midget or little person
Wizard of Oz.
in Wizard of Oz.
Is that the hanging little person in Wizard of Oz?
Is the shooting star your hanging little person? Like, is it actually there?
Listen, prick, I didn't make that up. The world told us that. What are we talking about? Look, that's one of those vindication things. Like, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like,
there is a shooting star?
Yes.
It was accidental.
Yeah. Listen,
wasn't planned.
I don't know what you're insinuating because every one you bring up, I've been proven right. Like the Godfather epic was a real thing. Outsiders really had a court scene. Superman
we didn't believe
2,
you back then, though.
Superman 2 had a different cut.
We thought you were crazy.
Yeah, and they're all out now. The Donner cut, like all of it. All right, stay on top.
Yeah. What's the topic?
You're giving me
trivia.
trivia
At right now. Still? Not necessarily trivia, but at the time, Jaws was the biggest blockbuster hit of all time.
Right.
It's the first movie that made over $100 million. First movie that was played in over 400 theaters across the country, and it was the highest-grossing film until
Raiders?
Star Wars knocked it off 2 years later.
Interesting. Lucas, George Lucas, Masterstroke, Star Wars 1, Part 4.
And then since then, there's been multiple knockoffs. But yeah, Jaws at the time was like unheard of what happened.
And it was the dawn of the summer blockbuster.
Yes.
Like after Jaws, that set the template for the summer.
And everybody feels bad about what apparently sharks got killed left and right after that movie came out.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
Sharks got a real bad name after that.
Yeah, and, we love nature here at Sanity Lounge. We're not supporting, murdering innocent creatures, but sharks are horrifying.
Yeah.
And as a child, my knee-jerk reaction was, fuck them. But
yeah, me and Lincoln, I went on a Boy Scout troop camping trip a couple months ago with the troop. And Lincoln we went to Calvert Cliffs where you can find shark teeth and fossils and stuff like that. And Lincoln found an actual megalodon tooth.
I know. You put it on the text
it's pretty
thread.
Good. I'll pop it up here.
You put it on the text thread that night.
I'll pop it up here.
That's so funny.
No, that thing was cool. Like it was big. It was big. And that's where I discovered Google Lens. Did you know about Google Lens?
Did that work?
Yeah.
It works?
It just said it was from an extinct shark, and it gave like several examples. But we were taking pictures. I was taking pictures of shells and stuff like that. Just 'cause, you're like, cool, shell. But some of these shells were extinct, like mollusks and stuff like that. Like it's wild.
That's amazing. And Google Lens will pick that shit up.
Yeah. You can do it with plants, anything. It'll tell it tells you what stuff is. So yeah, highest grossing film. Shot in Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
Amity is a fictitious town.
Alex Kittner's mom just passed away in 2020.
There's a cool story about them. That it was, I don't know when this happened, probably in the 2000s sometimes, but the mom went to a restaurant, and I don't think it was in the Northeast, but she walked into a restaurant and they had a sandwich called the Alex Kittner burger.
Nice.
And she was like, holy shit, that's awesome. I want that burger. I played his mother, and the whole staff was like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Turns out the dude that owned the restaurant was the actor that played Alex Kittner.
Wow.
And he came out, and they reconciled for the first time in decades.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Serendipity.
Yeah. She randomly went into a restaurant. They had an Alex Kittner burger, and Alex Kittner owned the restaurant.
That's incredible, dude.
That's a cool story.
That.
That's an awesome story.
Well, and that lady, I can't remember the actress's name. We'll have to give her credit.
She's done some cool stuff.
I know she stayed in that area for a minute and did Jaws tours and stuff.
Yes.
Like did a lot of stuff around the area. Like always, I love that kind of stuff. Nostalgic.
Miss Kittner, Lee Fierro.
That's right.
She died 2020.
Yep.
Jeffrey Voorhees. That was the name of Alex Kittner.
Alex Kittner, the young Jeffrey Voorhees. Now, is that serendipity?
Theater. She was a theater promoter up in the Northeast.
Yeah, I know she did a lot of work for actors.
Behind the scenes stuff, yeah.
Right, and she did a lot of that.
She died of the coronavirus.
Damn.
At 90, she was 91 years old.
Well, she had a hell of a run.
Goddamn corona.
I know. And ain't that a bitch? I just mentioned it.
The shark didn't get her. Got her son, but coronavirus got her.
I love that story, though, with the Kittner burger.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. That's a great story.
That's good stuff.
Yeah,
she
was she did a lot for theater companies and up-and-coming actors and actresses in the Northeast.
Now, I've never been to Martha's Vineyard, but I hear tell that there is a Jaws tour.
And it has nothing to do with Martha Stewart, right? Right?
Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah.
No, sir. It's been around a long time before Martha's Stewart. Yeah. Okay, we'll dig
Why
this.
is it called Martha's Vineyard?
Because it's I think it was.
Who's Martha?
I got to believe it has something to do with early America, and it has to do with a wine vineyard. I always assumed.
Wait a minute. Whose wife was Martha?
You're asking it's out of my
George
league,
Washington? George Washington. Is that who it's is it
Is
named
it Martha
after
Washington?
Martha Washington?
Is that who it's supposed to be? Chris?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't fucking know.
Okay.
Chris is up there.
Yeah. That's what we do here at Sanity Lounge. We
Well,
make
that's
up
what I'm
things.
saying. I know.
Like my wife says, I'll speak it with such conviction. Like, remember, Jerry, it's not a lie if you believe it's true.
If you believe it's true, right? No, but this, I'm pretty positive it's a very old. It's like colonial times. It's been around since then.
I agree.
And it's nothing. It's just a nice area.
And it's the North Atlantic. I think it's known for great whites too.
I always assumed that there was a wine.
There's a vineyard there. There's Martha's Vineyards.
Right. It's like, but I don't know if that's.
I don't know either. I've never been there. Yeah. Back to that. I've never been there.
That being said, I know that they do, or I'm pretty sure that they did and still do Jaws tours. I would love to go up there at some point to do that.
And aren't they doing a new Jaws ride at Universal down in Florida?
I'm not sure.
Or it got put on the back burner. I know they're opening the Nintendo World and stuff like that.
I've heard that over the years. Dark Universe.
This dude, Tom Kubler, who's a sculptor, like an amazing sculptor. He does like hyper-realistic sculpts. I went to a seminar of his at Smooth On. He is doing some stuff for the Dark Worlds thing they're doing at Universal Studios. So like some of the fact that he's involved in some of the creations that are going to be there mean they are going to look insanely realistic and creepy.
Nice. Well,
he made the giant. Remember that like picture I sent of me posing with that big giant?
Yes.
He made that thing.
Wow. Yeah, that thing was awesome.
Like I love that dude. Like he makes cool his seminar was one of the coolest things I've been to. And like I use some of his techniques now.
If they revive the Jaws ride, for those at home,
let's see why not.
Universal Studios.
That ride was great.
Universal Studios for Orlando, when it first opened up in 1991, it had a Jaws ride, and it was no joke.
It was awesome, and it was like the Jungle Cruise at Disney. Like the people that steered the boat made the ride great.
Right.
Like so, you had to have a great host while you were cruising around the lagoon.
So when you were waiting in line for the ride, it was like Amity. It was like you were waiting in Amity. There was all this stuff. If you were familiar with the movie, you were like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Then you get on a boat, as Woe Davis says. It's like a 12, 16 person boat, something like that.
Yeah.
With a driver, and the driver's got a clear comm and he's talking. And mayhem ensues, and it was just great. I mean, they had a physical shark that would come up out of the water, not just once, and not just like, awesome. Not just like going past the boat. Like at one point,
it blew up gas lines, everything. I mean, there were fires.
At one point, they steer the boat into a cabin on the water, and the shark starts hitting the cabin walls, and then the lights come on. It comes up out.
There was 4 great rides back then at Universal: Back to the Future, T2, Jaws, and Twister.
Ooh,
Twister! Remember that? Because you didn't ride it; you stood there,
right?
And dude, that was a cool ride.
Well, the thing is we knew where to stand.
That was before, and that was before Islands of Adventure.
Right. We had the inside track like on that because we had year passes, so we knew where to go in to get the one spot that would really. You
thought I was going to say Kong. I forgot about Kong.
I
until
did
just
think
now.
you were going to say
Kong was a good ride.
The
too,
original
dude.
Kong.
Oh, dude, when the subway gets flooded, God, they were such cool rides, dude.
It was incredible.
Now even the rides are CGI, but they're still cool.
They are.
But
it's
those were practical effects, except Back to the Future. That was like an IMAX.
Right, but King Kong,
you were sitting in the DeLorean.
Right.
King Kong was practical effects.
Yeah, King Kong, you were in a warehouse.
Twister was practical effects.
Right.
Except for the cow.
Right. They had a big screen, but it was mostly it was real fire.
T2 was
real wind.
All practical effects. Yep. God, that was so fun.
And 3D.
So fun. Shout
had some
out
3D.
90s Universal Studios.
Yeah, man, it was incredible. But that ride kept breaking down. It was just like the film.
Yeah.
It's like the ride, because it involved being in the water,
Right.
submerged in the water all the time, the shark constantly broke down. And I remember we lived there. I went to Universal all the time. It always broke down until the point where they just was like, fuck it. And they closed it.
Yeah.
So if they bring that back, that would be incredible. All right. Well, so we're going to kind of bring it down towards the end here soon,
we're
right?
just done.
So in closing, it's 4th of July weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't watched Jaws, we kind of went all over the place because that's what we do.
Hopefully you... I mean, even if you know the movie, I hope you learn some cool stuff.
Yeah, everybody knows everything they want to know about Jaws. So this was just fun to
Brian
be able
impressed
to
us
talk
with his
about
knowledge of shark deaths, which that's still... I mean, I can't say that I didn't think you were going to get it, but the fact that you did is still impressive.
Well, the fact that we weren't planning this, this is off the cuff.
We weren't even supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, like I just am that nutty with movies that I
3 sharks, 3 total sharks. They were family.
Right. 3 versions of Bruce, is that what you mean?
Bruce, what were their names? It was Bruce something and Vengeance was the 3rd shark's name.
And they said that
Bruce Brienne, maybe? Maybe it was Brienne.
Yeah, something with a B.
Yeah.
And I think the shark in Jaws 3 was the biggest shark that they used or whatever.
Because
it was the
terrible.
mother. Well,
the graphics. Oh, and then the last thing I had written down too, which I read about, which I thought was cool, was the movie poster, because that's iconic.
The movie poster is
even
incredible.
by itself. Roger Castell did the artwork, and he based that image off of a diorama he saw at the American Museum of Natural History of a shark head. And the woman was a woman he was already sketching in his studio, and he just had her stand up and pretend she was swimming, and he sketched her onto the movie poster.
Okay, so you reminded me of Chrissy Watkins. Shout out to Chrissy Watkins, the actress who played Chrissy Watkins. She just died.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I remember that too.
A week ago or 2 weeks ago or something like that. That performance, she was only in, you know what other movie she was in? Don't look it up. Do you know what?
No, I don't. Tell me.
The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh my God. I would not have. I would not have pulled that.
Chrissy
out of
Watkins
my
was one of the heist gals, I believe, in the Great Muppet Caper. And but what a great performance! Right when Jaws 1 opens up, I was in love with her. I mean, for what it was worth, she was only in it for 2 minutes.
What was her name?
Suzanne.
Yeah, there we go.
Backlany.
May 11th, 2024. She just died May 11th.
Suzanne Backlany. She was gorgeous, and she was a kind soul. I mean, you see interviews with her.
77 years old.
Interviews with her over the years, and when she filmed that scene, a little bit of trivia that the Jaws heads know, but those who don't, it's interesting. The opening scene of Jaws, the young lady's on the beach. She runs out. And,
nude.
Right. She gets naked. We love that.
Way to go too.
It's and then thank God the guy passes out on the beach. I mean, he'd have been a goner too. Yeah. But she goes out there. When they filmed that scene, Spielberg had her in a harness, and she was supposed to be simulating drowning and struggling, and they were pulling her from both sides, back and forth. And
that's good.
So she was like, they were doing it.
That's why it looks like she's being like shaken by the shark.
Right. And she had to come up with a way that they would know if she was really struggling, because she's supposed to be struggling. She's supposed to be thrashing. And if she's got a problem, they're pushing her back and forth, so they have to figure out a way to make that safe for her. And she just said it was very intense because...
Oh, did she come up with something?
I don't think that they ever came up with anything that made her feel totally safe.
Right.
They just did it,
like,
but
I gotta get through
but
it.
that was in her head. Like when you hear her interviewing, like she talks about that, how like it was pretty intense because she was playing somebody drowning, and they didn't really have a great way to make them know that she was okay because the guys were so frantically pulling her back and forth, and Spielberg's looking at the shot. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that
in
is
early
interesting.
in early filmmaking, you know, because again, in the 70s, it ain't like it is nowadays. It's not like there was on the film set a regulatory board that was watching over everyone. If there was tragedy on the film set, as a matter of fact, until 82, when Vic Morrow got killed on the set of The Twilight Zone. Do you remember? Do you remember that? The Twilight Zone movie, Vic Morrow got tragically killed. He got killed by the helicopter blades.
That's nasty.
Killed him and a young kid and like a couple production people and stuff like that. But after that, people, they were like, well, we got to regulate this shit. Or, you know, things got a little bit more tighter on the set.
Yep.
But I always love those kinds of Hollywood, you know, like like cool stories about filming,
just practical
and
stuff.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's good shit. All right, so Sanity Cinema is going to be a segment that we do for those at home, and we're going to bring on the debut of the Sanity Cinema is going to be this, ironically. We're going to bring on our sons for the first few episodes.
Yeah, we have some movies lined up.
We got some movies lined up. It's going to be more organized than this. This was, again, we kind of are doing this as a...
I think this was fun, though.
Yeah,
we have
it's fun.
Skull. We have
Right.
Skull with us. We have Calabos.
Right, got a little bit
We have
Calabos.
here. Frankenstein. We have Kenny over here.
We got our buddy Kenny.
Kenny's
right?
in the chat,
And
and we
keep
have
in
Mr.
mind-
Poe. We have Mr. Poe in the chat.
For those at home, Calabus, as Woe Davis pointed out, the toy, of course, not the actual Calabus, but the toy Calabus is from 1980s Clash of the Titans. With your
Harry
Hamlin and, God love him, Burgess Meredith,
Yes.
one of the greats. A great flick we may end up doing on Sanity Cinema at some point.
Yeah, God.
But thank you so much.
That's Phil Tippett stop motion.
Yes,
The
yes,
Scorpions.
the great Phil Tippett.
Yes.
Jason of the Argonauts, and you know all the Sinbad, you know, early cinema.
Yep.
All right, well, this was fun. Have a
this was
great, safe 4th of July weekend. Shout out
And
to
listen-
Brian King, my buddy Brian King, who loves Jaws with me. Ben Davis, of course.
Everybody, and make sure you listen to put this on at the cookout.
Yeah, definitely.
Put it on through the speakers.
Over the weekend.
You'll love it.
All right, good deal.
All right.
Stay sane, Baltimore.
Yep. Awesome.
Thanks for listening, Baltimore. You can find us at www.sanitylounge.com or on Instagram at sanity.lounge.
Keep listening and subscribe.
Stay sane, Baltimore.